Another important topic, sequence and series. Let's have a look. The first three patterns in a sequence are shown below. Each pattern consists of white squares and shadow squares. So we can see the pattern. And we as humans, we're excellent with finding the patterns, seeing them. Maybe we have a little bit more difficulty in quantifying, but we can see that. So we can see that those are the shaded, and then we have the white one. So the next thing, we have to draw pattern 4. So I'm saying, okay, let's observe that. How does the pattern change? So I have 3 and 1. Then I have 4 and 1. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1. Okay, so that means in the next pattern, I'm going to have what? One more here. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm going to have 1. Yeah, and we draw, we are completing that. I'm sure none of you, and you are much more talented than I am in drawing, so I'm sure it's working much better for you than it is for me. And make sure you shade the specific ones, isn't it? Because that's your fourth pattern. Okay. My apologies, I'm missing one. I don't know how to count. So, oh, this looked terrible. So that one shouldn't, that should be. Yes, okay. Now, drawing, I'm sure you much, like I said, much better than I am. Now, then next part. Complete the table to show the number of shaded squares and the total number of squares in the sequence. Give your answer in the last row in terms of n. Okay, so let's see. So we understand there is 3 and 1, therefore 4, isn't it? That's how many shaded. Here I have 4 and 1, therefore 5. Then I have 5 and 1, therefore 6. Now I have 6 and 1, therefore 7. So following the same logic. So every time, here was 3 plus 1. Here was 4 plus 1. 5 plus 1. So that means 6 plus 1. Then that means will be 7 plus 1, isn't it? That's what we're going to have. We're going to have 8. Now, what about the total number of squares? Well, how do we count them? I have 3 here and 3 here. Therefore, 3 by 3, that's 9. So it's 3 by 3. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here I have 4 by 4, therefore 16. Then again, I'm counting here that I have what? 5 by 5, so therefore 25. Then here I have 6 by 6, 6 by 6, therefore 36. So following that same logic, the next one will be 7 by 7, that is 49. Okay, so here I have the total number of squares sorted, but this is where I need to understand what do I put in here. So if the pattern is 1, I have 4. So that means, let's remove that so that it doesn't confuse us. So if the pattern is 1, I added 3. If the pattern is 2, and in order to have 5, again, I added 3, isn't it? If the pattern is 3, to have 6, I added 3. So I can see that every time I'm adding 3, the number of the pattern plus 3. So that means number of the pattern plus 3. Yeah, that's how we know that general formula for in that particular pattern. Okay, let's have a look at next part. So next part is saying in pattern K, so in some pattern, we don't know which one, maybe 20th, maybe 100, we don't know. But in one of those patterns, the difference between the total number of square and the number of shaded square is. Now, what do I do with that? We need to change English words into maths words. Okay, that's what we have to do. So when we are saying a difference, how do we write a difference in maths? Well, there will be some value here minus, isn't it? And then another value. And that will equal another number here. That will be the outcome, isn't it? So the difference is between what? Between total number of squares. So that's what we have here. Total number of squares. I'm just going to do that. Minus number of shaded squares. So here is number of shaded squares. And that is therefore equal 271. And then we have to say that that sentence, that's where we will arrive at. Okay, so let's change that. How do I find a total number of squares? Well, if you are out of ideas, always remember, have a look at the previous part of the question. And in previous part of the question, look at that. Here we had number of shaded squares and we had total number of squares. Now, our pattern is what? K. So total number of shaded squares will be what? We already understood. You take the number of the pattern, you add 3. That will give you number of shaded squares. And here is given to us, you take the number of the pattern, you add 2, and together you take that to the power of 2. Okay, so let's replace that in what we are doing. So total number of shaded squares is what? K plus 3. Sorry, not shaded. Total number of all the squares is what? K plus 2 to the power of 2. Yeah, that is the total number. Let's look at again. Total number of squares. Total number of squares. So total number of squares minus number of shaded squares. That's the number of shaded squares, K plus 3. And that is 271. Now, what do I do with it? Well, this is where I'm going with my calculation. What's the difference between what I should have and what they have? Well, 271, we have the same. The difference is here, I have brackets, they don't have brackets. So that's what I need to do next. I need to deal with those brackets. How do I take a bracket to the power of 2? So when you have two items in bracket, and that bracket is taken to the power of 2, you have plus in between. Again, a shortcut, a bit of a cheat. So that will equal to the very first number to the power of 2 plus 2 multiplied by the first number multiplied by the second number plus second number to the power of 2. Let's apply that in our situation. First number to the power of 2 will be k to the power of 2 plus 2 multiplied by the first multiplied by the second. So 2 multiplied by k multiplied by 2. I'm having 2 multiplied by k multiplied by 2. So 2 by 2 is 4. That's what I can multiply k. And then second number, which is 2 to the power of 2, that's 4. And then here, minus in front of the bracket will change the sign this as if I have minus 1 multiplication. So that means both of those values will change. So I'm saying, okay, what can I simplify it here? I have k to the power of 2. 4k minus 1k together, I have plus 3k. And then I have 4 minus 3. Again, if I'm not sure, I put that in the calculator, I get 1. 271. So there it is. We have exactly what they were looking for. Okay, one more part. Let's have a look. So the last part is saying solve the equation to work out the value of k. How do we do that? Once you see a letter, and that letter is taken to the power of 2, as it is here, what you think about? Minus b formula. Exactly, because majority of the time, that's what we are having. How does minus b formula work? Let's just remember our formula, minus b plot, and that formula is where in our table. Make sure you know where it is, page 20. So in order to use this formula, we need to know what is the value of b, of a, and c. And how do I know? In the table, we are told that a is the number that stands beside x, b is the number that stands beside x with no power, and c number without x. And very important, 0 on the other side of the equation. I'm saying all good. My only issue is that 271 have to first move to the other side, because in the formula it's saying you shouldn't have anything, nothing here. So let's just simplify that. So plus 1 minus 200 will be minus 270 equals 0. So again, A is a value that stands beside your letter to the power of 2, in this case, what? 1. B is a number that stands beside x with no power, in our case is k with no power, so that's 3. And C, number without x, so minus 270. And all we do, we replace those numbers in our formula. So first we're going to replace B with 3. We put 3 here and then 3 here. And then we have A. Our A is 1, so again, we replace A and we put multiply by 1, multiply by 1. And then C, so this C here, 200 minus 200 and multiply by minus 270. And we put all of that in the calculator. We press equal first with plus. Well, it doesn't matter what you put in first, but let's say first with plus, one value of, actually it's not x, it's k here. So one value of k we're going to get will be 15, and then we the same thing, but this time with minus, and the second will be minus 18. Now, when you are using that minus b formula, it is the only formula that gives you two answers at the end. And always pause and think if both answers are applicable in the context of the question. What was k in this question? What did k represent in this question? It was the pattern. So I can have pattern 15th, but I cannot have pattern minus 18th. So therefore, that's not an applicable answer. Minus b formula, extremely important. It will become your best friend in 5th and 6th year. So please learn that, how to use that formula now.